Islam is the second largest and fastest growing religion in the entire world. Not surprisingly, there are many nations that are identified as Muslim nations. But which of these countries are the most powerful when it comes to military power? Welcome everybody, what's happening? My name is Leroy Kenton and thanks for coming back to another episode of FTD Facts. Here we talk about the different countries, cultures, and people from all around the world. Now for this episode, in determining the power of each of these countries, I just looked at the military strength. But if you do want more in-depth military coverage of the different militaries of the nations around the world, you gotta check out our military playlist. I'll have it in the card section of this episode, as well as I'll link to it below in the video description, and I'll also have it at the end of this episode as well. And don't forget to hit that like button before you continue, and if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so you'll be notified of new videos like this. Now in this episode, I'm going to be covering 10 nations, but they're not ranked in any particular order. The first country I'm talking about is Morocco, and the latest numbers showed that they had a defense budget of $3.46 billion. Morocco's total population is 33,986,655. Its available manpower is 17 million, with 373,000 total military personnel and 198,000 active personnel. As reserve personnel, they have 175,000 people. But it's really challenged because it has one of the lowest defense budgets in the entire Middle East. The country's military has been heavily engaged with the disputed Western Sahara territory, as well as patrolling its long borders. Recently, it also supported the Saudi-led coalition fighting in Yemen. So a lot going on for them, but with that defense budget, it's just a big stretch. On to Syria with a defense budget of $1.87 billion. After more than 6 years of a lot of fighting, Syria's military is a shadow of what it used to be. But I mean, these guys are fighters. Syria has a total population of 18,028,549 people, and they have an available manpower of 11,600,000 men. Their total military personnel sits at 304,000. Out of that, their active personnel is 154,000, and their reserve personnel sits at 150,000. Its military is bolstered by Iranian militias, Russian forces, and local private militias to keep the Assad regime after suffering from heavy losses, rampant desertion, and general fatigue just being involved in so many wars. Now the next country I want to look at is Malaysia with a total defense budget of $4.7 billion. While Malaysia has never fought in a conventional conflict or war before, it does boast a modern military with a balanced strategic posture between naval strength, technology, as well as air superiority. The country of Malaysia has a population of 31,381,902 people, and they have an available manpower of 15 million. Their total military personnel is 420,000, and that's broken up into active personnel, which sits at 110,000, as well as reserve personnel that sits at 310,000. But one conflict that Malaysia is involved in is the dispute over China's claim over the South China Sea. Malaysia is also an active member of the UN peacekeeping forces. While struggling with financial limitations and currency instability, its military continues to grow and modernize. It faces the challenge of matching assets that are incompatible with the domestic and international threats that they're facing. The next Middle Eastern country I want to look at is Algeria. Now they have a much higher defense budget than their previous nations. They sit at $10.6 billion. Algeria is the largest Arab country by size and has invested steadily in its military since it achieved independence. Algeria's population is 40,969,443, and out of their total population, their available manpower is 20,400,000 people. Currently, their total military personnel is 792,350, and out of that, their active personnel is 520,000, and their reserve personnel is 272,350. The Algerian People's National Army has been on active footing since its founding, first fighting for independence, a civil war dubbed the Black Decade, followed by more than 2 decades protecting its major borders. It's also the only country, aside from China, that obtained the Russian S-400 missile system, and it's one of the best air defense systems that's currently out there. Algeria has troublesome borders with neighbors including Libya, Mali, and it also actively supports the Polisario Front, which seeks the independence of the disputed territory of Western Sahara from the country of Morocco. Now let's fly over to Saudi Arabia. They have a defense budget of $69.41 billion. The Saudi Arabian military is the best armed defense military in the region. Saudi Arabia has a huge population of 28,571,770 people. Now, its total military personnel sits at 256,000, and they have 231 active personnel and 25,000 personnel in reserve. In the past year, it has fought an intense war in Yemen as a head of an allied coalition. While Yemen has been a proving ground for its military, the drawn-out war has drawn significant international condemnation over the heavy human toll that it's been taken, as well as the humanitarian concerns. We have famine, we got disease going on there, and the country is just really ravaged by war. So we're halfway there now, and it's time to look at Pakistan. Pakistan has an estimated defense budget of $7 billion. Pakistan's military is very robust and it has a long-standing military tradition. And in recent years, it has leveraged stronger engagement with Saudi Arabia and China to modernize its forces with heavy military technology exchange and weapons development. The population at Pakistan is an estimated 204,924,861. Their total military personnel is almost a million at 919,000 people. And when you break it down, 637,000 are active personnel and 282,000 are reserve personnel. When you look at Pakistan operationally, Pakistan boasts one of the largest armies in the region with a strong combined arms doctrine supported by a powerful intelligence service and a consistent drive to develop defense industry capacities and manufacture modern firearms and ammunition. It is also one of the few countries in the region with nuclear capability. The Arms Control Association puts Pakistan's nuclear stockpile at about 140 weapons. So with that number, they have the 6th largest nuclear arsenal in the entire world. Now I want to look at the country of Indonesia. They have an estimated defense budget of $6.9 billion, with Indonesia set to become the world's 4th largest economy by the year 2050. Its military continues to grow in leaps and bounds. Aside from its active duty personnel, it is home to an additional 281,000 paramilitary personnel. So that's a lot of people. Indonesia has an even larger population than Pakistan, sitting at 260,580,739 people. Their available manpower is 130 million, and their total military personnel sits at 975,750. Their active personnel is 435,750 people, and reserve personnel is 540,000. When you look at their manpower, their economy, and their political clout, that's more than enough to ensure internal stability and growth. Recently, Indonesia applied for an anti-access area denial, which is commonly called an A2D2 strategy, and that gave Indonesia even more leverage over its neighboring countries. Indonesia's modernized capabilities may in fact be the precursor to larger regional ambitions in its future. We have 3 more nations to look at, and the third final one is the country of Iran. Iran has a defense budget of $14 billion. With more men in arms than any other country in the Middle East, with an additional 125,000 in its Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. Based on the latest estimates, Iran's population is 82,021,564. And out of their total population, they have 47 million people as available manpower. Now, their actual total military personnel sits at 934,000, and that's divided into active personnel, which is a total of 534,000, and reserve personnel at 400,000. Iran has also been able to effectively manage large militias while aligning them with its overall powerful military posture through tried and tested embedded officers and leadership. Over years of sanctions, Iran developed a significant national defense industry and made major progress towards becoming a nuclear state. And their armed forces just proved to be very strong. Iran has even provided extensive technical and military support to the Assad regime in Syria, as well as support in Yemen. The second last country that I'm looking at is Egypt, with a defense budget of $2.7 billion. Egypt has a total population of 97,041,072 people. Their available manpower is 42 million. Egypt's total military personnel is at 1,329,250, with 454,250 as active personnel and 875,000 as reserve personnel. With the rise of the president Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the Egyptian military has been given free rein to expand and embed itself in nearly every aspect of Egyptian society, on top of having a larger defense budget, tax exemptions, and lucrative private contracts. The Egyptian military has made major progress in modernizing its military since Sisi took power, with gradual procurements of new state-of-the-art weapons, as well as revamped supply chains and more attention given to its navy. Egypt is still struggling, however, to deal with the insurgents in the Sinai Peninsula for several years. And the last but not least country that we gotta look at is the country of Turkey. Turkey's defense budget sits at $10.2 billion. The total population of Turkey is 80,845,215, and they have an available manpower of 41,640,000 people. Their total military personnel is at 710,565, with the active personnel at 350,000 and reserve personnel at 360,565. Turkey's armed forces have been active for a number of years. On top of its heavy presence in Syria, Turkey has developed a strong defense industry, manufacturing autonomous armed drones, state-of-the-art cruise missiles. On top of that, a cutting-edge indigenous battle tank and battle-tested attack helicopters ready to roll. While Turkey ranks as the strongest military force in the Muslim world and the Middle East, it was also ranked in the 9th spot overall, like for all the countries in the entire world. Okay guys, so that's all the information that I have for you in this episode of the most powerful Muslim nations. Let me know if you want to see a video that explores more of the cultural and economic power and influence of the Muslim nations, and just sound off in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to research it if you're interested in that, and I'll definitely do a video about it. Don't forget, you can also follow me on social media. The links are down below, as well as suggest any other topics that you want to see here on FTD Facts. Until the next time, stay awesome, stay educated, of course, and I can't wait to see you in another episode. Hey, and for all you overachievers that love watching end screens, here's that playlist I promised about the militaries that we covered here on FTD Facts. We also do videos exploring more of the cultural aspects of countries, so you can go ahead and check out those videos as well. And tune in here to FTD Facts every single week for new episodes.